I'm not like them, Zack mumbled. You should hear the things they say about the General. I do, and so does he. Very little of it is meant to be disrespectful, and it's best to ignore such things. I can't. Angeal blinked, surprised that Zack seemed so earnest, so close to genuine anger. Sephiroth himself had learned Sephiroth himself had learned to mostly disregard the awestruck stares he received and the lustful comments his admirers exchanged. Angeal frequently felt the desire to strangle those who dared speak so about his closest friend, but he held it back, knowing it would change nothing, only put said friend in an even more uncomfortable position. For the same reason he held his tongue when Shinra encouraged the worship Sephiroth disliked and didn't understand, putting his face on posters and parading him around like a trophy. Angeal had known Sephiroth since childhood, and they had virtually been brought up together. It only made sense that he would be protective. Why would Zack, one of the General's fans, feel the same way if it was merely a crush or physical attraction? Even officers who claimed to be in love with Sephiroth did not show this kind of concern with him, did not consider him human enough to need defense. Fair was not claiming anything. He was looking at his mentor with an uncharacteristically miserable expression, as though silently begging him to let it go. Angeal felt sorry for the boy. Zack was the sort of person who put his whole heart into everything he felt, and could not possibly have set it on a more unobtainable object. Angeal set his hand on Zack's shoulder, ignoring the lieutenant's flinch. Your feelings only do you credit, whatever comes of them. Why could you not tell me about this? Because you'd think I'm like all the others, only interested in... Zack sighed, messing up his spiky black hair. Because you think I'm a kid with a silly crush. You know that patronizing nickname you get such a kick out of? I'd figured you'd make some joke about puppy love. You do occasionally forget to repress your sense of humor, you know. The hand on his shoulder squeezed, trying to be comforting. Zack winced, and the grip immediately loosened. Angeal was used to training with first classes. He sometimes forgot his own strength was much greater than Zack's. What can I do to help you with this? Zack looked surprised by the question. Nothing, Angeal. I know it's hopeless. I've just got to deal with it, but thank you. Do you want to try the exercise again? Can I trust you not to ambush me again? The answer was behind Angeal's smile. It was not clear enough to decipher, but it was kind and sympathetic, and for Zack, that meant more than any promise. This particular VR scenario was a standard one, frequently used by soldiers of all classes, as it could be set to any of several levels of difficulty. It simulated a section of Midgar's warehouse district, and was populated by an armed holographic adversaries, usually enemy soldiers or anti-Shinra insurgents, who could not kill but were nonetheless completely realistic to fight. The object was to neutralize every target before any of them could raise an alarm. Variables were often added to this basic mission. A time limit, laser sensors, civilians to avoid harming, an object to be retrieved. Zack liked the civilian scenario best. It appealed to his heroic nature. But Angeal now had him working on avoiding the lasers, because this required sharper focus and steadiness of nerves, and Zack's difficulties were a lack of concentration and an apparent inability to calm down. This program forced a soldier to utilize all his most critical skills: stealth, tactics, navigation, split-second decision-making, the senses enhanced by Mako to an inhuman level, and fighting, of course. Though noisy by nature, Zack was sneaky and quick. He was able to suppress his traditional battle cry as he neutralized the holographic enemies one by one, grinning as he did so with the glee that action and victory always brought him. It dimmed just for a moment as the man with the larger gun barreled around a corner ahead and immediately caught sight of the soldier. Halt! Put your hands up or I'll shoot! Yeah, like you can hit me. Bullets rained horizontally across the space between them and a haphazard spray. This guy, or Image, technically, was no sniper, but he knew the speed soldiers are capable of and merely fired at random points in Zack's immediate vicinity, hoping he'd get lucky with at least one shot. Zack blocked them again and again with his sword, though the blade wasn't wide, and there were a few close calls to make him envy Angeal and the enormous Buster Sword. As soon as his opponent ran out of ammo and reached for another clip, Zack leapt into the air, turned an elaborate flip, and descended on him from above, delivering the death blow. Somewhat robotically, the man fell to his knees, slumped, and disappeared. Yeah, and tell him Zack Fair sent... The low, whining pulse of an alarm interrupted his triumphant boast. Zack looked down. There on the simulated cement was a thin line of red light that he had stepped across. Oh, fuck. Zack had only triggered this alarm in the melee that followed it twice before, and both times suffered the indignity of requiring a hasty intervention on Angeal's part. Thus far, Zack had been exposed to very little combat that was not one-on-one, and his skills, however exceptional for his age and rank, were not enough to fend off more than 3 third-class level opponents at once. And the sound of boots approached from all around. Zack tried to think quickly. There are usually 15. I've already got 10. That means there's... Damn it. Zack held his sword up and himself in a ready stance, and turned in a slow, purposeful circle, surveying the surrounded area. 5 identical figures in light black armor came into view at a brisk run, nearly at the same time. Moving with a single mechanical mind, they fanned out and began to close in. Fucked. I'm fucked. No, come on. You're a soldier. You can do this. Show Angel you can do this. They've organized. They've formed a circle. What do you do? Break it, Zack answered himself in a murmur. He vaulted himself out of the center, landing gracefully behind one of the enemies and stepping back to draw him away from the others. It worked. He lunged and Zack parried, continuing to move away from the group and baiting his opponent to follow. He was fast, but Zack was faster, plunging his weapon into the guy's computer-generated chest. Unfortunately, the others seemed to have learned from their fallen comrade's mistake and advanced together, reforming the circle and refusing to respond to Zack's efforts to untie them. In seconds they would begin an onslaught he couldn't withstand. Dejectedly, Zack squinted and waited for Angel to appear, toss him to safety, and let the Buster Sword fly. Just in time, a hand did seize Zack and shove him out of harm's way, but it didn't feel like Angel's. It was smaller, stronger, less gentle. The third class shut his eyes involuntarily as he felt the impact of the wall he crashed into, and upon opening them, wondered if he'd hit his head much harder than he'd thought. There was indeed someone, a blurry figure at this speed, felling the enemies with a few rapid strokes. But it was not Angel. Only when the battle was over and the unknown Samaritan was still did Zack recognize him, and his thoughts wavered between awe and confusion, threatening to freeze completely. Sephiroth, the famous general, the legend he'd heard Angel speak of fondly but never yet met himself. He was standing there calmly, not showing the slightest sign of exertion, unmoving except for his long silver hair as it settled perfectly back into place. Masamune, the sword everyone knew, was in his left hand, which he held at his side. No, damn it, Angel, I can't fight him. Why are you... Wait, why isn't he... Oddly, the Sephiroth hologram was not charging at him, only standing there staring with a curious and perplexed expression. Zack had never seen it behave this way. He'd heard rumors that Sephiroth program occasionally performed rescues, but he'd never observed this himself. Every time he'd met the hologram before, it attacked and disarmed him within seconds, killing Zack and causing the simulation to turn off. Bad enough Angel had called it up again. Why was it acting so strangely? The possible answer, annoyingly, and just the sort of thing his mentor would do, came to the Lieutenant Third Class, but he waited and watched for a few seconds longer, anticipating attack. The image of the general sheathed its famous blade and continued to stare with an analytical and oddly childlike wonder. Could it be malfunctioning, Zack thought? Yes, but not on its own. Angel, he called, looking up and around to address the unseen control room for which the commander observed him. You reprogrammed it, didn't you? Way to twist the knife. Why are you doing this? The hologram blinked mutely. Angel was sure straining the credibility of this state-of-the-art VR technology. Surely the real Sephiroth never let anyone see him look so uncertain, so hesitant. And that's the end of part 2 of Impressions, and we'll post part 3 very soon.